Child's moderate to severe eczema, and they can show off clearer skin and less itch with Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists that helps heal your child's skin from within. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your child's eczema specialist about Dupixent.
Entertainment tonight.
Hi, I'm Jack Black.
And I'm Aquafina. And we are spilling the E.T. Oh.
You know you cannot control Jack Black.
Not at all.
Join us tomorrow for that.
Yeah, we leave you now with Colin Firth and the Roman Empire moment for fans of Pride and Prejudice.
Happening now.
The polls are still open across the U.S. We have live team coverage of the key races locally, across the state, and across the U.S. Plus, we're going to tell you who and how many are showing up at the polls right now.
Storm chances just around the corner. I'll let you know where we could see some severe weather, along with the latest on our temperature swings. Don't get too used to this spring-like warmth. See you in a bit.
If you feed your infant formula, you make a lot of bottles. So coming up, a look at infant formula makers and just how accurate are they. The News at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, it is Election Day, and voter turnout across Bexar County not quite what election officials and candidates were hoping for. On the ballot today, local and state races, not to mention Texans are going to decide which presidential candidates get all the delegates of Texas.
Yeah, and with the polls open for 2 more hours, I want to jump right into our election coverage. John Paul Barajas, Dylan Collier, Lee Waldman, all standing by as we monitor Election Day turnout. Let's start with John Paul Barajas. John.
Steve, Ursula, as of 4 o'clock, the Bexar County Elections Office has reported 49,931 people have voted today since polls were open at 7 o'clock this morning. And so far, 12.6 of Bexar County, including today's voters, early voting and mail-in ballots, have been counted. Polls will be open until 7 o'clock tonight. As long as you are here or at a polling location in line by 7 o'clock, you can vote. Now, the Elections Office says 93,000 people in Bexar County voted during the 11-day early voting period ending last Friday. That number is down from the 2020 primary, when more than 122,000 people voted early in Bexar County. In 2016, 117,500 people voted early. People think this is because Democratic voters simply aren't as excited as Republicans this time around. Again, so far, just under 50,000 people have voted so far at this point. And here at the Elections Office, there's not a lot going on. Very few people. We've seen maybe 10, 15 people, if that, in the few hours that we've been here. Election officials tell us some polling locations have gotten as little as 9 people today, and some others up in the thousands. Again, we'll have another update coming up in the next hour at 6 o'clock. John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, John Paul. The race for House District 121 among those targeted by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Abbott has thrown his support and a lot of campaign money behind challenger Mark LaHood.
The issue of school vouchers putting the governor at odds with incumbent Steve Allison. Dylan Collier live at Lions Field with what we are watching for tonight.
Ursula and Steve, this has been an extremely combative race for the Texas House. This is just a sample of the mailers that voters in Alamo Heights, Olmos Park, Terrell Hills, and parts of North Bexar County that make up this district have received over the last couple of months. Representative Allison last year broke with Governor Greg Abbott on the issue of school vouchers. This would have been the taxpayer payments to families to help pay for private schooling in Texas. That caused Allison to be accused of aligning with, quote, liberal causes and radical leftist ideologies. We will know later tonight whether that decision by Allison to oppose school vouchers will keep him from moving toward a 4th term in office. It is worth noting, though, that over the past month, Allison has outgained his opponent, Mark LaHood. That's according to the latest campaign finance reports in this race. We should also point out that there is a 3rd candidate in the Republican primary tonight, Michael Champion. He is unlikely to win, but could get enough votes to force LaHood and Allison into a primary runoff in late May. Only time will tell. Reporting live at Lions Field, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Dylan. Of course, we'll see you throughout the night. A number of those living in Uvalde determined to use Election Day to make major changes in leadership in that city. On the ballot there, several candidates who were members of law enforcement singled out by the Department of Justice for the failed response to the Robb Elementary School shooting.
Our Lee Waldman is there now with how this Super Tuesday could remove potentially those officers from office. Lee.
Ursula, Steve, we're here at the Civic Center. It's one of the polling locations, and you can see a lot of political signs making up this green space in front of the polling location here. Also, a steady stream of cars inside of this parking lot. We're also told there's a group of protesters who are going to be making their way here. A lot of those protesters are survivors from Robb Elementary, but also some of the families of some of the victims there. Now, we're told that their signs are going to be directed towards three candidates, the Uvalde County Sheriff Ruben Nolasco and Constables Emmanuel Zamora and Johnny Field. Now, all three were responders at Robb Elementary on May 24th. All three were also named in that scathing Department of Justice report looking into the law enforcement response of what happened there at Robb Elementary. Just last month, let's remind you, there was a public forum here in Uvalde where members of the community could ask those candidates questions that they felt were pertinent to this election. Nolasco was a no-show, and Zamora and Field both left before it was their time to answer some of those questions. We've heard repeatedly over these last 2 years from families of victims and survivors asking those three candidates to step down. Obviously, with them running for re-election, that is not the case. So we'll be following up on this throughout the evening tonight and check back in with you at 6 o'clock. Live in Uvalde, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Lee. And if you haven't voted yet, you still have time. The polls close at 7 o'clock in the evening. Before you go, you can look over a sample ballot. Just scan this QR code on the screen. It's going to take you directly to our election page, and you'll find voting locations.
Then once the polls close, our election coverage of results begins. You can get our first look at how local and area election races are shaping up. Join Myra Arthur and me for our Super Tuesday live stream. We've got early election results here in San Antonio, surrounding areas across the country as well. We'll also have analysis and reactions. You can find it on all of our live stream platforms, KSAT Plus, KSAT.com, and the KSAT YouTube channel. The live stream from 7 till 9 tonight.
We here in Texas are not at all alone on Super Tuesday. 16 states from all across the U.S. have their presidential primary elections on this day. And this is a view of the 2024 presidential race getting a little bit clearer. The delegates at stake tonight.
Yeah, as we zoom out nationally from the local coverage of the two states with the most delegates, California and Texas.
That's right. Our Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook joining us now live from California, where most delegates are up for grabs tonight. So, Julia, tell us a little bit more about where you are right now.
Well, I am watching this process play out. You can see behind me here that they are processing the ballots. These are all for LA County, and all of the county's ballots will come through here. So these are mail-in ballots that they're working with right now. And then we'll get to see more come in as the polls close here on the West Coast. Super Tuesday likely setting the stage for a White House rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
I want everybody to come together. We're going to have a unified party because our real opponent happens to be named Biden.
For former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, this is likely her last chance to slow Trump on his way to the GOP nomination.
We lost in 2018. We lost in 2020. We lost in 2022. How much more losing do we have to do before we realize maybe Donald Trump is the problem?
Political communications professor Dan Schnurr says Haley's level of support on Super Tuesday will say a lot about the long-term future of the Republican Party.
It looks like it would take a near miracle, if not a series of near miracles, for Nikki Haley to come back and claim the Republican nomination.
Haley once pledged to support her party's eventual nominee, but is now suggesting she is no longer bound by that promise.
I think I'll make what decision I want to make, but that's not something I'm thinking about.
It's not just the presidential nominees who will chart the nation's political future. Voters will also be choosing candidates in critical down-ballot races. In Alabama, a newly drawn district is expected to choose its representative. North Carolina's hotly contested governor's race could end up mirroring the likely Trump-Biden rematch. And in California, a marquee Senate race to fill the late Senator Dianne Feinstein's former seat. And for non-presidential races here in California, they use a top two primary, meaning that the outcome of that Senate race tonight could set up a grueling Democrat-on-Democrat race in November. Reporting live in Los Angeles County, Julia Benbrook, KSAT 12 News.
Julia, stay with us for just a second. We have all been assuming that tonight's results are likely going to cement that Trump-Biden rematch we've been expecting. We have a slate, though, of new polling that reveals a lot about where the mind of the voter might be going into the general election. Can you elaborate more on that?
Right. Well, it's looking at this hypothetical Trump-Biden rematch, and a new CNN poll of polls, which is an accumulation, an average of some trusted surveys, showed that there's no clear winner in that hypothetical matchup. It had Trump with 48% and Biden with 46%. So both of these candidates are going to be watching tonight as a large portion of the country goes to the polls and those results come in to see if there are any warning signs that they should keep an eye out for ahead of the general election.
Julia, thank you so much. Julia Benbrook reporting live for us from Los Angeles County. Thank you, Julia. New at 5, San Antonio police released the name of the suspect that was shot and killed while officers were trying to take him into custody. He's identified as Raymond Morales. Police had been looking for the 35-year-old. He was wanted for 2 felony warrants for aggravated robbery. They located him last night at a home in the 200 block of Ravina Drive. That's off Rigsby Avenue, close to Southeast Loop 410. It was just before 9 o'clock. They tell us Morales walked out of that home, was walking towards a vehicle in the driveway when officers wearing SAPD vests ordered him to get on the ground. Detectives say Morales did not comply and instead grabbed a gun from his waistband and pointed it at officers. That's when 2 officers fired their weapons and shot Morales. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. No officers injured in this confrontation. All right, let's go to 410 at Jackson Keller right now, and you can see traffic heavy in both directions, but especially the westbound lanes of Loop 410 as they head towards I-10. I think that's probably where a bit of the backup is as they head towards that interchange on what is a very warm election day, Adam.
Yeah, warm, but luckily not humid around town. I mean, temperatures making it up to the 90-degree mark in a good portion of south central Texas. Officially here in San Antonio, 57 this morning, but 91 for the high temperature. That's the hottest we've been since late October, and officially our first 90-degree day so far this year. And it does come about a month before our average first 90-degree day. We were only 3 degrees shy of the record, 94, set back in 1991. Warren's backyard, Del Rio, 90, 89 Leon Springs, 93 in Michael's backyard in Floresville, 91 Dean's backyard in Mico. Windcrest right now at Santa Jim's at 88. As we go through the evening, still unseasonably warm, but actually comfortable if you ask me. 70 degrees at 10 o'clock. By midnight, we're at 65. Calm wind, low humidity, but don't get used to the spring-like warmth. Some big changes are on the way, and an update on our storm chances in just a bit.
Thank you, Adam. You may have a Keurig for your coffee, maybe even a cocktail mixing machine. But now mom and dads have a countertop gadget for their baby formula. How it works, but is it worth the price? Next.
I'm Myra Arthur here in the newsroom, and here's what we're working on for the news at 6 o'clock.
Police officers, firefighters, and even life flight. This is just a drill meant to teach Northeast ISD students the dangers of drinking and driving. I'm Max Massey. We're going to give you an inside look.
Plus, it is by far the largest single donation ever made to the ALS Association. $58 million will now fund 3 crucial programs to help families that are battling this terminal disease. What a patient says this means for him and for others like him. Those stories and so much more today at 6.
Thank you, Myra. You know, being the parent of a new baby, it's not maybe, it is the best job ever. But let's face it, it is exhausting. There are infant formula makers, though, out there right now to help out.
At least they're trying. They're a little bit like coffee makers. They claim to make precisely measured, ready-to-drink bottles for your baby. But do they work? 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz with important information for new moms and dads.
If you're feeding your infant formula, you know you're making a lot of bottles, measuring, mixing, and heating often. Enter a formula maker.
So the biggest selling points of these machines is that they are a tech-savvy solution that presumably dispenses formula more accurately than you might make by hand.
Baby formula makers offer to take some of the work off your plate.
Reduce the stress in your life.
But parents and medical experts have complained to the Consumer Product Safety Commission about the Baby Brezza Formula Pro Advanced. So Consumer Reports investigated the accuracy of 3 popular machines on the market: the Baby Brezza Formula Pro Advanced, the Baby Brezza Formula Pro Advanced Wi-Fi, and the Baby Exo Formula Dispenser Machine. The results they called concerning.
So the 2 Baby Brezza formula makers actually produced less formula than we expected, which could lead to malnourishment in a baby. And the Baby Exo machine produced more formula than we expected, which also isn't ideal for a baby's health.
In a statement, Baby Brezza said the reason for the discrepancy between CR's test results and its own is the significant natural variability that exists in formula powder in general. Baby Exo did not respond. While these machines may save you time, Consumer Report safety experts say it's important to feed your baby an accurate amount of formula.
So preparing it yourself according to the manufacturer's instructions or those from your pediatrician may be the best way to go. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
The memories.
Flashbacks.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Trying to clean the bottles
formula,
out.
cleaning bottles.
Sterilizing the bottles.
All that fun stuff. All right, 90 degrees out there. You know, it's a little early for this, in my opinion.
Nah.
Oh, yeah.
We have different opinions, I guess.
Perfect.
Too early.
Statistically or climatologically speaking, it's about a month early to hit 90 degrees, but it's been done before on several occasions this early and even earlier. And don't get used to it. Temperatures will be dropping, and by this weekend, it's going to be very different. But I want to start with our storm chances. That's what I'm going to focus on first. Notice Thursday night, we're up to 40%. So that's Thursday evening all the way through Friday morning, some scattered activity. We'll be on the edge of it, but I still think we could tap into some of the showers and storms that'll be moving across Texas. Right now you see the activity off to the east Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, active weather, the Gulf Coast as well. Around here, we're looking way off to the west. The swirl that's just west of San Francisco, already throwing a little bit of moisture on shore in California and Washington. This will be headed our way, and as it travels into the desert southwest, it's going to bring with it some rain in the desert and higher elevation snow. Good for the ski resorts. If anybody's venturing out skiing for a spring break or anything, it looks like they'll get a hit of snow here this week in the Rockies. But around here, some of that energy is going to be thrown our way Thursday night, Friday morning. And so we're already thinking the instability that will build up along with the energy should be enough to trigger some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Not everybody's going to get them, but we anticipate some activity developing. As for the severe weather threat, this is Thursday evening on into early Friday morning. We have that isolated risk around most of San Antonio and the KSAT 12 viewing area, basically west of I-35. But there is a slightly more enhanced risk as you get into parts of the hill country. We're talking Bandera, Kerrville, Ingram, Mountain Home, Comfort, Sisterdale, Fredericksburg, Blanco. That's on a scale of 1 to 5. That's about a 2. But notice how we're just on the edge of it. The primary risk goes northward all the way up to Dallas and Wichita Falls. And the main threat would be maybe some localized hail or some strong wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Again, that's Thursday night into early Friday morning. Temperatures, they're changing. Tomorrow, 84, so we'll get out of the 90s into the 80s, upper 70s Thursday and Friday. Look at the weekend. 67 for the high temperature, both Saturday and Sunday. Right now, 88 degrees, a dew point of 36. Some 70s off in North Texas, but again, it's going to be a few days till that weather makes it here to those temperatures. Tomorrow morning, upper 50s. By the afternoon, we're at 84 degrees. Still a lack of humidity in the air. The humidity returns briefly on Thursday. We'll be in the 80s tomorrow, and then the weekend. Oh yeah, some 40s in the morning and 60s in the afternoon. How about that for this time of year?
That's pretty perfect. Thank you.
All right, big question tonight. Can the Spurs win 3 in a row, and will Wemby play?
That's very good questions. Hopefully they can win 3 in a row, right? The Rockets are really not that much better than the Spurs. And Wemby, we still don't know if he's going to play, but I'll tell you what, the Rockets have already said they want to face Wemby tonight. And we have some bad news for Justin Verlander coming up.
Feel good to win, and you know, there's no other feeling like it, especially when you're big competitors like we are. And you know, we just try to replicate that as much as we can, so they give us the best chance to get the win.
Winners of 2 in a row, Kelvin and the Spurs want to make it 3 straight on game day. San Antonio Spurs are in Houston tonight to take on the Rockets in the Southwest Division battle. The Spurs did not hold morning shoot-around, and at last check, Victor Wembanyama was still listed as questionable with left shoulder soreness. He got hurt late in the fourth quarter Sunday night on this play when he collides with Pacers' Miles Turner after an up fake, but he played on. In that win, Wemby kept his composure when the Pacers made a run in the third quarter to take the lead. Pop noticed it, and his teammates say they feed off of Wemby's calm demeanor.
Definitely, for sure. I mean, he's our guy. And then, I mean, you know, we play off of him, and, you know, he's steady. Never get too high, never get too low. And, you know, we feed off that even when teams make runs. I mean, he's definitely he's one of a kind.
And just like the Spurs, the Rockets last played Sunday night when they beat the Suns 118-109. Houston is 12th in the Western Conference, 13.5 games ahead of San Antonio. Now, so far, the Spurs and Rockets have split the season series 1-1, with each team winning at home, and they last faced each other back in mid-December. So here's the matchup. Rockets will host the Spurs tonight at 7 at the Toyota Center. Houston Astros ace Justin Verlander will open the season on the injured list after dealing with right shoulder inflammation during the offseason. Astros manager Joe Espada said the 41-year-old Verlander hasn't suffered any setbacks but needs more time to become game ready. Verlander hasn't experienced any soreness in his shoulder either after bullpen sessions, the manager said. Dragon Stadium at Salt Lake Carroll High School up in the Dallas-Fort Worth areas where the San Antonio Brahmas are holding training camp as they get ready for the 2024 UFL season. The team is scheduled to scrimmage this Saturday, with the first set of cuts happening on Sunday when teams will go from 75 to 58 players. Mary Rominger will join us live at 6 p.m. with more on that.
That season's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner, into this month.
Yeah. Thanks, Larry.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, the countdown's on to the total solar eclipse. 34 days now. We're counting down to April 8th. Here's a fact. 108 miles. That's the average width of the path of totality. Here's another sign of spring. Not only is it 91 for the high temperature today, but look at the beautiful wildflowers. Just want to leave you with that. By the way, an update on the Thursday night storm chance coming up at 6.
Look at those blue bonnets. Thanks for watching the News at 5.
World News up next. See you back here at 6.